Swinging. Help out, I could bring up the problem. shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ha'itein lamod raglecha, Ayanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisroel. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha yad yeminecha. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha yad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, ve'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikora, Yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeilcha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. Adonai yishmor tzeilcha uvoecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. Mekomo yavo v'shalom. As is our tradition, we begin with the chanting of a psalm. Psalm 121, known as Shir LaMa'alot, a song for those who ascend. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. You see, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your protection, your guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. God will guard your going and coming now and forever. May Barry Erenberg go unto God in peace. Hatzur tamim paulo ki chol rachab mishpat el emunah ve'enav el tzadik v'yashar hu. Tzadik atah Adonai la'amidu lahachayot asher biyadcha pigadon kol ruchot chalila licha zichronenu limchot v'yihiyu nainecha b'rachamim alenu v'kuchot ki lecha Adon harachamim v'haslichot. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevorach. V'hu rachum yechaper avon v'lo yashrit v'hirba l'shiva po v'le'ir kol chamato v'yashov he'afar ala haaretz shehaya v'haruach tashuv el ha'elohim asher netana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May our beloved soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal, and may Adonai, may God, send comfort to those who mourn, and grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. Thank you all for coming, for being here with us at the cemetery. To those of you who are joining us through the online broadcast of this service, thank you so much for joining your hearts together with Barry's family, who are now in mourning. We are here today, family, friends, and community, to honor and to say goodbye to Barry Erenberg, father, brother, Zedek, uncle, friend. Binyamin ben Yosef Vechana, the son of Joe and Ann Erenberg, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. Barry passed away Tuesday, the 14th day in the Hebrew month of Av. He was 72. He is survived by his family, his daughters, Brenly and Carly, and son-in-law Alex, his sisters, Marlene and Shaarey, his granddaughter Isla, his beloved nieces and their families, Marnie, Karen, Debbie, Haley, and Alana. Barry was predeceased by his parents and by his daughter Marnie, all of blessed memory. We have the opportunity today to hear eulogies honoring Barry from people who knew him best, from his sisters, Marlene and Shaarey, from his daughters, Brenly and Carly. By way of introduction to these eulogies, these words of tribute, I can tell you, I didn't know Barry Erenberg very well, but I did know him. I had the privilege of officiating at a few milestone events in his family, Carly's wedding, Isla's naming ceremony. In our interactions, he always struck me as the kind of person who was perpetually upbeat and happy. He had an obvious sense of humor, he revealed quickly, that felt to me silly and playful in a good way. He was the kind of fellow you could joke with quite quickly and feel at ease with, like friends. He was a fun guy, you could tell. I've learned from his family that this is totally true. Among so many things, Barry will be remembered for little things, little sayings, isms, like I love my nieces to pieces, how's the banana? He had a great smile, and something I've always respected, solid facial hair. Heartbreakingly, however, part of Barry's story is that Barry suffered throughout his life, throughout almost all of his life. His death this week was sudden and quite unexpected, which feels ironic because he's been plagued for so much of his life with serious health problems. From a major surgery when he was just 17, a surgery that nearly cost him his life. Later, decades later, intense neck and back surgeries, confined to a wheelchair in recent years. Truly, after the pandemic and the isolation that came with that, and in the last few years, Barry was trapped. Even in his childhood, he had issues that little kids, babies, should never have to deal with. But his death was unexpected because through it all, he just always survived. So brave. His health never consumed him or defined him. He was a shining example of a man who just wanted to have fun, to joke, and to love. A man with literally a huge heart. An honest guy. A mensch, as we would say in Jewish tradition. Someone who was always interested in others, who cared in others. A man who fought and overcame so much. Certainly more than anyone should ever have to face. As Alex observed, he was inspirational in his struggle. In spite of that struggle, he led a life defined by a respectable and meaningful career, helping veterans, working for the federal government, strong, lasting friendships, and his crown achievement, his family, his daughters, the center of his life. Those things, work, friends, family, those are the best things in life. And Barry Erenberg had them. He had them because he fought for them. There's a saying in the book of Ecclesiastes, known as Kohelet in Hebrew. The eye never has its fill of seeing, nor the ear of hearing. We always wish we had more time. Certainly at 72, it feels tragic and that a life was cut short. But after so much suffering and so much pain, it is our hope and our prayer that Barry Erenberg is finally at peace. May he rest in peace. I'd now like to call up his sister Marlene to begin the eulogies from the family.
Okay, I'll hold it. Barry was my big brother. Even though I was older than him by 2.5 years, he called me Meanie because he couldn't say Marlene, so Meanie stuck as a term of endearment. We grew up in the North End on Charles Street and lived in a duplex with our grandparents downstairs and us on the top floor. My memories are foggy of our childhood, but when I think of our time together as kids, I think of this old-fashioned wooden swing in our backyard that allowed us to face each other as we rode it. The memory of us sitting across from each other as we used to take turns starting and stopping the swing is a core memory to me that represents the pure happiness and fun we shared in those moments, a type of magic that only children can experience. Memories I will always hold dear. As we grew, we never stopped spending time together. One of our most loved and shared memories was riding our bikes all over the neighborhood. In 1958, we moved to the South End, and Barry and I became good friends with some kids that lived down the street. We used to go down into their basement and play Ghost. Barry once visited me in Vancouver in January, and he couldn't stop talking about people golfing in the middle of winter. He thought it was hilarious. I remember that trip fondly. While the timeline of our lives is not always a clear line, these stories and memories are the milestones of our life together. Even when I moved to Vancouver, I made it a priority to always visit, so he always knew how much time spent with him meant to me. One of the topics he loved to talk about was politics and sports. I could usually only contribute to 2/3 of the conversations, but I always considered it an honor listening to him talk. It was my way of showing him I loved him. I remember our conversations when I would go visit him. We would talk about our kids and their lives and compare notes. But as we grew older, the highlight of our conversations shifted when we talk about his new granddaughter, Isla. And all of a sudden, Barry's world had a whole new meaning. It's never simple trying to put into words the weight of losing a loved one, especially you consider them a piece of your heart that now seems to be lost. Sometimes the simple words are the ones that hold the most meaning. Barry, I promise you this. I will always have you in my heart. I will carry and remember your memory forever, and I will always love you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. It is very difficult for me to sum up in a few paragraphs what my big brother Barry really meant to me. Barry and I were 8.5 years apart, and I'm sure at times it wasn't easy having a baby sister around when he had his friends over, or if he had just wanted some privacy. I can remember when we were kids, Barry chasing me around the house, and when he would catch me, he would put me in a figure 4 wrestling hold or a headlock, whichever move was on wrestling that day. I can remember a time when I slammed the bathroom door so hard as to avoid Barry catching me that we had to call the fire department to break down the door. There was also a time when I fell off my bicycle and my leg was bleeding, and Barry carried me to our Uncle Maury's house to be patched up by our family doctor. Barry also enjoyed playing tricks on me. I can recall when I would get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, Barry would sneak into my bedroom and scare me. He seemed to really enjoy that. Me, not so much. Then there were also our weekly nights that we would watch Johnny Carson together and a Charlie Brown Christmas and Halloween specials. He was indeed a big brother, always looking out for me. Because Barry wasn't well most of his life, we were really unable to do a lot of things together. It was a loss for him, but also a loss for me. We both felt it. Barry worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs for many years and won many awards for his service until he was forced to retire due to his health. People say that when you lose your parents, it is something to be expected. But for me, losing Barry, it is like a part of me is missing and gone. Barry had a very loving heart and a beautiful soul. At times, Barry and I we both had the same type of sense of humor. Despite all of his health issues over the years, he tried to make the best of a bad situation. At times, Barry and I had our disagreements, no different than any other brother and sister. But in the end, we both knew how much we loved each other and would always be there to support each other no matter what. In the last couple of years of his life, what brought him the most joy was his beautiful granddaughter, Isla. When he would talk about her, his whole face would light up. It hurts me deeply to know that he will not get the chance to see her grow into a beautiful young lady. But I know Carly and Alex and the rest of our family will keep his memory alive with pictures and by talking about him and how much he loved her. They say that if you talk about a person who has passed away, that they are never truly gone, because you keep them alive in your heart with memories. In closing, I just wanted to say, Barry, thank you for being a wonderful brother. I will miss you so very, very much, sweet punk. Life will never be the same without you. Rest in peace.
I love my dad more than words could say. I still can't believe he's not here with us on Earth anymore. My dad could always make people laugh. He had an amazing sense of humor. He had a good heart. He cherished his family and friends that he had grown up with all his life to this day. Thank you to his friends for standing by his side. I remember one of my fondest memories as a child. I loved to read. Dad would take me from bookstore to bookstore just to get the exact books I wanted. I cherish that time I had with my dad. During the last 2 years, the biggest joy of my dad's life and mine was his granddaughter and my niece Isla Marie Imhoff. Carly and Alex raised the most beautiful toddler, and she loved her Zedek so much. My dad looked forward more than anything to Carly, Alex's, and Isla's visits at Deer Lodge and FaceTime. FaceTimes. Every day, me and Dad talked on the phone. Joy would fill his voice when he would talk about Isla. I believe that she was the one thing he was living for. Me and Dad would phone each other every day Me and Dad would phone each other after every goal in hockey or touchdown in football. It was a special bonding time. I was truly Daddy's little girl. talking to him sometimes, a few times a day. I told my dad everything. My dad confided in me his secrets. We were the only ones who could understand each other. I won't tell any of his secrets except for the one that I think we all know about. He wanted to so badly be pain-free and out of his wheelchair. A few days ago, I heard a song on YouTube, and I encourage everyone to listen to it in loving memory of my dad. It's called I Hope You're Dancing in the Sky. I feel like it was written for my dad. My dad is not suffering or in his wheelchair anymore. He is in heaven, dancing in the sky free. He missed his parents, Anne and Joe Erenberg, so much. Now they are all together, reunited, holding each other, dancing in the sky. Such a peaceful thought. Daddy, I will always be your baby girl, and I will always love you. I know one day we will see each other again, and now I have another guardian angel watching over me. I promise to remind Isla all about her Zedek. Love, your baby girl.
Resiliency, perseverance, loyalty, courage. My dad was many things, but those 4 words stood out the most as I was reminiscing on his memory and life. I still cannot believe he is gone. I have felt like this was a bad dream that I would suddenly wake up from, but I haven't. And that's what those words mean for me now. I have to show resiliency, perseverance, loyalty, and courage in speaking today. I have to embody the man he was and give him the tribute that he deserves. This is one of the hardest things I will ever have to do. And I thank you all for being here with me and with him to support. As you've heard, my dad struggled with a variety of health issues from a very young age. He had to manage physical health effects that most of us couldn't dream of. Health effects that would affect him mentally too. And somehow he persevered time and time again. He graduated from university. He had a stellar career. And he had 3 daughters that he adored. If he wasn't so resilient, I wouldn't be here today. It's that simple. He has taught me so much. And through his loyalty to me, I've been able to be by his side for my entire life. He taught me how to speak up and fight for what I wanted or what I felt was right. As a child, I was quite meek, but as time has gone on, I think I began to embody that lesson. He has taught me the true meaning of courage. Growing up, I was extremely close to my dad. I was a daddy's girl from the moment I was born. He would call me Carlykins, to which he still did just a couple of days ago. We were so close growing up to the point where my dad even got me a cell phone. I remember being the only one in my friend group to have one at this time. Essentially, that phone was used to speak to him, as texting was not too common back then, and people used their landlines to make calls. I suppose this made me the coolest kid at school for at least a little while. I remember many adventures, just the 2 of us. My dad and I would often go to Harborview, Grand Prix Amusement Park, or Thunder Rapids for some mini golf, bumper boats, bumper cars, and paddle boating. On one of our paddle boating adventures, when my dad was getting off the boat, he lost his balance and ended up going headfirst into the murky waters. He was under there for what seemed like hours, but finally surfaced to the top, with several people being there to help pull him out. Of course, my dad was wearing his very expensive prescription sunglasses at the time, which unfortunately never resurfaced. Being the resourceful man my dad was, he asked a young man if he would dive in to find the sunglasses. Oh my God. No. Oh my God, can you call 911? Yeah, water for Lori.
I have water. I have bladder in there.
Oh my God. Can someone call 911? I think Pat's calling 911.
You're okay, though.
It's a redneck ceremony by Armstrong Drive. What's the address?
230 Armstrong Avenue, it's the cemetery.
230 Armstrong Avenue, it's the cemetery. We have a possible stroke victim. Thank you. Armstrong Avenue, the cemetery.
Sure, Zedek Cemetery.
230 Armstrong Avenue, the cemetery, direct set.
They're calling.
1-204-229-2749. What is the plot number?
They're on the phone, Dan. There's concurrent.
There's the second 911 call going in right now. Elderly person, possible stroke. I'm standing as part of the crowd, just in the back with the family. Late 70s, early 80s. Female. Somewhat conscious. Yes. It's towards the middle.